If this is for real, this is some ice cold stuff right here. Hey out there, welcome back to Wedding Industry Law. My name is Rob. I am a wedding and event industry lawyer. And in this week's video, I don't know what to say. I wanted to do a hot take on this particular story that comes to us. I found it on Event Therapy Magazine's Instagram feed, which in turn they got it from Hollywood Unlocked over on Instagram. But it's a story that originates on Reddit, and I don't know Reddit. This is one of those things where it's like, I'm completely behind the times. I don't know what Reddit is. I think it might as well be the dark web to me. I don't think I ever go on it. It probably is very scary for somebody like myself, but luckily there's some screenshots that I got from Hollywood Unlocked on Instagram, so I can read you this story in its entirety. It's not too long. So let's read the story and then we'll talk about it on the other side. Here we go. And I read. A friend got married a few days ago and wanting to save money, asked if I'd shoot it for them. I told him it's not really my forte, but he convinced me by saying he didn't care if they were perfect. They were on a shoestring budget and I agreed to shoot it for $250. That's a red flag right there, buddy, which is nothing for a 10-hour event. On the day of, I'm driving around following the bride as she goes from appointment to appointment before the ceremony, taking photos along the way. I shoot the ceremony itself, and during the reception, I'm shooting speeches and people mingling. I started around 11 a.m. and was due to finish around 7:30 p.m. Now, hang on a second. This is something that I'm suspect already, because he's saying that it was a 10-hour event, and I might have gone to school in Tennessee, but working from 11 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. is approximately 8.5 hours. So this is a little sus, as the kids say today, because that's not 10 hours. Anyway, back to the story. Around 5 p.m., food is being served, and I was told I cannot stop to eat because I need to be the photographer. In fact, they didn't save me a spot at any table. I'm getting tired and at this point kind of regretting doing this for next to nothing. It's unbelievably hot. The venue is in an old Veterans Legion and it's like 110 Fahrenheit and there's no AC. I told the groom I need to take off for 20 minutes to get something to eat and drink. There's no open bar or anything. I can't even get water and my 2 water bottles are long empty. I'm assuming that's the groom. He tells me I need to either be photographer or leave without pay. So this is critical. So if this is correct, the groom says either be the photographer or leave without pay. Be the photographer or leave without pay. So let's see what happens next. With the heat, being hungry, being generally annoyed at the circumstances, I asked if he was sure. He said yes. So I deleted all the photos I took in front of him and took off, saying I'm not his photographer anymore. If I was to be paid $250, honestly, at that point, I would have paid $250 just for a glass of cold water and somewhere to sit for 5 minutes. Okay, I don't know Reddit, but let's assume all this is true. This is pretty wild, okay? This is pretty wild. So what are the ramifications if this story is in fact true? What does the groom or does the couple have any type of ramifications against this photographer for not just leaving, but in front of the groom, deleting all of the photos? Okay, is there any type of breach of contract, emotional distress, any type of negligence, whatever it is? Can they do something? Well, for number one, I'm going to assume that everything I read is absolutely correct, and I'm going to infer nothing. If what is written here is correct, then it seems to me that the groom basically amended or discharged the contract duties of the photographer by saying, I hear you. It's hot. There's no food for you. You can't sit. You're not eating food. So you can either not be obligated to continue anymore, or be obligated to continue and not get any food. So in other words, I'm going to give you the choice of whether or not you can be discharged from your duties in this contract. I think that's what is going on when he says either be the photographer or don't get any money. Leave without pay. Get out of here without any problem. That's basically saying you can get out of the contract obligations. And if that's actually what's happening, then there might not be any legal repercussions that the couple can go after this photographer for, because the groom basically said, you're free to go if you want to. It's your option. You either continue being the photographer and get $250, but you'll be hungry, or you get nothing, but we get nothing. You leave with no money. So I think that that's tough. Okay. So now let's make some assumptions. Okay. What happens if that's not what that groom said? What if the groom just said, no, like you need to be the photographer, or, we're going to dock your pay. Like, we didn't agree that you're going to get food, but you need to keep going. Right. And what happens then if the photographer leaves and deletes everything? That's a different story, because when a contract is silent to certain terms, in this instance, food, then it might not necessarily be material, which means that that if the client breaches a material term, then that's going to free up the other party from continuing. Let me say that again. Typically, if there's a material breach, then the other party may or may not have the ability to be discharged from further responsibility. Okay. So if it's something other than a material term, typically the party has to keep going. Okay. So food typically is not a material term. Like, in other words, if they don't serve him food, it's not like he can turn around and just leave. He would have to at some point sue them for breach of contract and get whatever the value of the meal is. So if that's actually what happened, and then he not only did he leave, but he deleted everything, then that could be a major problem in terms of breach of contract for him. And even let's add some details. Let's say the guy, the photographer, as he's deleting those photos, the groom and the bride are crying and like, stop, no, don't do that. Like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. That's potentially, to me, that's pretty outrageous. I don't know where this is transpiring. Like, I don't know what jurisdiction this is in, but that could potentially open up the photographer for tort law, or for tort damages. In other words, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligent infliction of emotional distress, because that's pretty outrageous behavior to literally show the guy the viewfinder of the camera and be deleting stuff in front of everybody. So facts are going to be super critical with regard to whether or not the photographer can do anything about this, or the couple can do anything about this. But at the end of the day, guys, what this highlights is that you should always operate with written contracts. That way you're not going to become a Reddit story. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. Like in all the client contracts that I deal with, food is in there somewhere, whether it's to say I get a certain amount of time to eat, I don't get a vendor meal, I want the actual guest meal, whatever it is, it's some way addressed in it. But I don't know about this guy. I think, what was it? He was there for 6 hours and was hungry. I would say that I like food more than the next guy. I'm pretty chub. Okay. I could have no problem identifying what every combo meal is at Taco Bell. No question. Like number 11, that's 3 Doritos Locos Tacos Supreme. Okay. Number 3, that's a Nachos Bill Grande. Okay. Trust me, I get it. I can get hungry, but complaining about 6 hours without food, I don't know about that. That seems highly suspect to me. I don't care if you are a professional athlete and he's like, at a weightlifting contest for 6 hours. Like, you can go without food for 6 hours. Even a hoss like me can do that. So I don't know. That just seems really weird and really strange to me. But anyway, the moral of the story, written contracts, guys, written contracts, written contracts, written contracts, so that you don't become a Reddit, what is it? Like an Aesop's fable on Reddit. Anyway, I hope you found this hot take enjoyable. Have you ever done a contract on a handshake? Have you ever had a family member or a friend contract with you for a wedding? How did that go? Did you go running for the hills? Did you go immediately running to an attorney to get you a contract drawn up? Tell me about that in the comments below. New videos every week over here at Wedding Industry Law on YouTube. And with that, folks, we'll see you next time.